Hey, everybody. I'm really excited to introduce my friend Shannon Pedder, who's the owner of two great marketing companies. A long time one runs Brand Creative, and her other newer one she'll tell you about as well. But I'm pleased as punch to have her here. And Shannon, how are you doing?
I'm good, Zenny. Thank you for having me.
Hey, tell us about, first of all, I always wanted to have you on to talk about Brand Creative, how you do what you do, and also what you offer to clients.
Yeah, so Brand Creative is a promotional products company. A lot of people know kind of the street words, which are swag. Merch is a big one these days. And when I simplify it, I just basically say it's anything and everything that you can put a logo on. So from pens and pencils on up to bags and t-shirts and wearables. Now we're doing a lot of tech items, even the napkins that you see in restaurants, anything that is branded. And we do a lot of paper printing as well. So we're basically the merchandising piece of the marketing pie.
Do you also design logos? If, for example, you say someone comes in and their logo maybe needs work or they don't have one?
Yes, I have some rudimentary graphic skills myself, but I have a team of graphic designers that I work with. So some people come in if they're baby brand new and don't yet have a brand identity. We can definitely help with that from start to finish if they need it, and then plug it in to the product piece. Sometimes people come in with an established logo, but it might need to be cleaned up a little bit or refreshed, or perhaps there's some different elements that need to be added in for an event or a specific campaign. So we can really work with any and all of it.
How has your business changed over the years?
Well, I almost want to answer that by saying what has stayed the same, which is customer service and the connection, one-on-one. Because when the internet really, so I should say I've been in this industry for 27 years. And
And yet
I
you're
work.
only 27 years old. How about that, folks?
Exactly. I know. I came out of the womb ready to roll and ready to work. Um, so I worked for a
TV on
boutique.
Family Ties, right?
Yeah, exactly. I worked for a boutique firm in San Francisco for 10 years, not long out of college, because I thought marketing sounded interesting as a general concept and enjoyed myself. They ended up folding after, kind of the dot-com bomb and a couple maybe not so great business decisions. And so at that point, I decided to go out on my own. So I do have my own company, Brand Creative, but on the back end, I plug into an affiliate network, which takes care of just a lot of my back end business functions. And, it's a seamless thing, makes it super easy for me so that I can really run the front end of my business. There's about 600 of us or so across the United States that we're all our own separate companies, but on the back end, we plug into this larger organization, which helps us with order follow up, a lot of administrative tasks, invoicing, collections, just all the things that are not really the fun stuff, at least for me, so that I can be interfacing with my clients and working on um, the creative and the fun part, which is coming up with their branding and product pieces. So
Can you,
excuse me.
can you tell which that is, or is it a trade secret? Or
Oh, no,
uh,
no. The company is called I Promote You. And it's a hybrid version because when I moved over from what I was doing before, which was really a brick and mortar, we had an office in San Francisco. That was changing. And I think even after 2020 on, that's changed even more for people in terms of working for themselves or working at home. So the other option, if you weren't a brick and mortar, was a franchise. But the
hmm,
thing about a franchise is that they own you, they own your business, and you take their name. And that part was okay. The thing that really turned me off from going that direction was that if you go your separate ways, they owned all your business and your clients. And so this has worked out great because it is my own company. My clients are my clients. So if for any reason we went our separate ways, which I doubt it because we've been together now for 17 years, then brand creative is still brand creative. I get to brand and identify myself in the market however I see fit.
nice.
And yeah, so I don't have to take on the franchise piece. But in terms of answering your question, I think one of the things that stayed the same amidst all these changes and coming off kind of the threat of the internet taking over our business which has taken a certain amount of market share. But I will say
Hmm.
people still like to communicate with people, and you can't get customer service from a computer that I can offer, or the creative brainstorming to really talk through what it is you're looking for and make the most of the dollars that you have to spend and what you're trying to achieve and who you're trying to reach. So there's a place in the market for people that want to pop onto the internet, find somebody to buy 1,000 pens for that cost them 50 cents, easy breezy. I can do that too, but where I think I really shine is offering the creative piece and then really coupling that with responsiveness and customer service.
Well, I'm curious, as a blogger, do you work with bloggers and vloggers, influencers?
I haven't really, actually. I haven't.
Until now, technically, this is your first
Yeah,
time. Then.
exactly. There's a first time for everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so what drove you to be a marketer of all the things in the world that you could be, theoretically, at least? Yeah.
Theoretically. So I was an English major. I always like to say I can read and write real good. But I didn't want to be a teacher. And often when people are English majors, it's kind of a natural career path to go into teaching. But I didn't really feel called to do that per se. But in relation to what I'm doing on my other side hustle, on my other side gig, I'm kind of doing that in my own space now. But in terms of standing in a classroom, didn't really feel like it was right for me. So I thought, well, marketing just seems generally like something that would be interesting. So I went to the University of Oregon for 2 years, and then I transferred back into UC Berkeley. And
Oh, very
after a
nice.
little time, yeah, yeah,
That's a
after
strange combination, Oregon and Cal, right?
yeah, exactly. So, and after a little bit of time in Europe, I graduated, and so I just moved to the city and started temping, and opportunity came up to work for the company that I worked for 10 years at an entry level position. And I went in and just worked my butt off and worked my way up and just really enjoyed it. I mean, even here today at 27 years, I wake up Monday through Friday excited to work. I like what I do. I really like the creative aspect. In addition to a lot of the basic business components, I've learned a ton, especially in running my own business over the last 17 years. But my mom was an artist. My brother was an artist. I'm creative. I'm not an artist, but I think the creative aspect of this business lights my fire enough that it makes it interesting for me because it's just not straight. It's not straight business. There is a lot of creativity that goes into it. I got to stay sharp in that regard.
But there is a lot to be said for doing something that you love because it helps you with everything, right?
Hmm.
Up.
Yeah, and I think, there's so many things that make a first impression. It used to be business cards, now it's a website. I think if you don't have a website, and I mean, I think you still need business cards regardless. You should be prepared. And I tell people, do not have a Gmail. If you're going to have a company, get your website and just whatever, Shannon at brandcreative.biz or Zenny at, brandcreative.biz, whatever it is, because that little bump up will make you look so much more professional. So it's all these little branding details. And if you can afford it, just don't do a template website from, Wix or somebody else.
No, no.
Yeah, just invest a little bit into first impressions. But all that to say that addition to business cards and your website, email, all that stuff, uh, giving somebody something of value that they will use repeatedly is what our business is about. Our business is about repeat impressions. So, sometimes people are very limited on budget, and that's okay. We work within that. I like it when people are honest with me up front and tell me this is how much I have to spend. This is how much or what I'm trying to accomplish. So then I can leverage what you have to work with and give you the most bang for your buck. I don't, sometimes people play a little cat and mouse and they don't like to tell me how much they have to spend because I think they're afraid I'm going to overcharge it. I think they're afraid I'm going to overcharge, or maybe that's been a previous experience, but that's not how I operate. I'm a partner. So the more you can tell me about what you realistically have, what you need, then I can work that with, the hundreds of factories I work with all over the United States, to find you the best deal for your money. And sometimes my factories will run quarterly specials. So you never know. We back it in a lot of different ways. But if you give somebody, if you can bump up even a little bit, sometimes giving somebody something a little bit nicer, or giving fewer people something nicer, unless you have an absolute number you have to meet or match, is worth it, because you don't want to necessarily be the person that gives a cheap pen or a cheap bag. Give them the nicest pen or the nicest bag or mug. We do a lot of reuse, recycled items, so sustainability is important these days. So give them the nicest travel mug that you can, because then they're going to use yours and they're going to carry it all around. I mean, I'm out and about town sometimes, and I'll see people carrying things that I've done or wearing clothing items that I've done, and that's always kind of fun. So that's what you want to do. You want to get something cool and appropriate to your brand out there, so that people are seeing it, and or the person that you gave it to, it just it gets into the mental headspace.
I want your feedback on this, because you mentioned Wix, and I had a a baser primal reaction, and it's because I was using Wix initially for Zenny62media.com, and now to but to make a long story short, I realized that our monthly cost had ballooned to $347.
Mm,
That's the same amount that I spend, well, just a little bit less than I spend for our dedicated server with six different WordPress websites on it.
yeah.
So what I'm point is it my imagination, or are certain organizations jacking up their prices after the pandemic or around the pandemic, and because of the rush online, they're thinking, ah, ha, 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 we can make a little money. What's going
Yeah.
on? Have you experienced that?
I haven't. I mean, that could be. I think everybody needs to do their due diligence and research. My brand creative website has to go through an industry specific company, because I have a search engine involved with that. So I don't have a lot of flexibility, but I'm happy with what I have. That's not it. So because all the products are tied into the back end, so it's not easy for me to create something unless I just have a simple landing page, which I don't. You can go on my website and say, I need a purple pen with a yellow cap, and it will help you start to dial in on what you're looking for.
Or you
But I
brand
do think, yeah, exactly. But I think, yeah, we do water bottles. Yeah, we do
not me.
bottles of water. Yeah, we
Yeah.
do bottles of water and water bottles.
Huh.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. A lot of people buy those kinds of bottles for events, trade shows. They give them away for things like that.
which gets to another question regarding events and trade shows. Zenny Media has been credentialed to cover CES for the 13th straight time. And
Mhm.
as a result, of course, there are startups and companies out there. How would you fit in with a CES bound or wannabe CES bound company?
Well, I would love to put my head together with them and just talk about, are they going to have a booth? What's their presence going to be at the event? How do they plan to reach people? What do they want to get from those connections? When they speak to people, are they trying to bring people into their booth or whatever, however the layout is there, just to get the foot traffic? Or is it a situation that they're looking for really high quality leads? So, maybe we need to bump up a little incentive gift, if someone comes in and sets a meeting, or, you get a further connection from there. So, and sometimes it's just something inexpensive that proliferates everywhere, so it
Mhm.
really depends on the target market, what you're trying to accomplish. Like I said, how much do you want to spend, and how many people, are you trying to reach? And then we just start to hone it in. I look at the brand and what the company does, and what their marketing campaign is. Do they have a marketing campaign, or is that something we need to talk about a little bit further?
I'm glad you said that, because I remember, I'm not going to say the company's name, but this happened far back in CS 2014. And make a long story short, they're from Italy and had this idea that they could sell little, bless you, pins at CES. And I was trying to explain to them ahead of time, that's not how CES works. And so they didn't listen. They came in and expected to sell out inventory on site. And they were disappointed they didn't. And they turned around and tried to blame me and held up my payment.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got two-thirds of it at the front end, because just out of protection. But my point is that, do you find with international clients different expectations, or do you work with international clients, and if so, who?
I don't work with a lot of international clients other than I work with US companies that may have divisions out of the United States or ship or do things, but not much that are based in other countries, to be honest, usually US based.
Is that was that a tacit decision early on, or is that something that came up?
No, I mean, yeah, it's not even a decision. It's just sort of the way the wind has gone because, there are companies like mine in every country in the world, that has this available. So if you're in Europe, you're probably going to work with somebody in Europe because you understand, all the ins and outs and little strange quirks, and maybe you have factories that are based in Europe. So it's easier to move goods. So, there's a lot of things simpler, same currency, so forth. It's not impossible, but it's harder sometimes to move things across the borders. Although we import as well. So if we have a larger project that has the time, because it's usually a minimum of 3 months and larger quantities, we
Hmm.
will import. That's primarily from Asia, but there are some other countries here and there.
So you
But when that's the right fit, that can save a client a lot of money too.
so theoretically, well, not theoretically, this is fact. I'm chairman of the International Trade Council's Digital Commerce Council, and we have members. Well, the ITC itself has members from 167 countries. My group represents 34 countries at this point. So you could work with some of our clients to help them in the international trade. Then,
Yeah. And also, if there's an international company that is coming to the United States for something, it
Mhm.
might be worth it for them to work with a US company because I can deal with logistics within the United States so easily. So
We should
different ways to look at it. I don't usually search out international companies and solicit them for business, but
talk.
it's not possible. It's just not where I have focused my time.
Yeah, this dropped into my lap at a time. That's another long story, not germane to this conversation, but it does get to my next question, and that has to do with something that I was really and still I'm really dying to talk to you about, and that I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and it's AI,
Hmm.
artificial intelligence. And I know that you said you haven't, in our discussions preparing for this, you haven't dealt directly with it yet, but the question is still on the floor. What's your thought about it? How it might impact your business? How you see it impacting the world right now? Your concerns? Um, all on the table.
Yeah, I was thinking about it a little bit more this morning. I haven't seen it in a major way in my industry that deals with the client interfacing per se, because again, there, I'm 51. I'll be honest with you. I just turned 51, and I realized that there was a
Rookie.
point I just had to, you have to kind of keep up with technology and the changes, not only in the world, but in your particular industry. And if you don't, you're going to very quickly become a dinosaur. So I'm kind of at that middle age where, I'm not a young millennial where technology is super easy for me, but I've made the commitment that I understand that it's necessary. So I have to stay up with what's happening. So I do see things on the back end that are coming into play in terms of how we're able to access products, our search engines. I look at our factory websites and how they're set up. So I do see a lot of it coming into play on that end. On my front end with my customers, maybe not quite as much because I think we really massage the relationship on the front end, and that's what people appreciate. But that's not to say that it's not going to come into being. It's just my personal experience in terms of what I'm producing or how I'm moving forward with it. I feel it's not a lot at this time, but that could change. We'll just see how it goes.
I tested out a variation of Chat GPT on one of our websites, and I had to change it out 17 times in the 4 months that it was up because it was consistently being attacked. And the maker, I'm not going to say the maker's name, but he's a good guy out of Tokyo. But his product was someone was always finding what's called a backdoor and intrusion, which if you have a
Mhm.
World WordPress website, you don't want to have happen. And or what's called Christ-like scripting, where somebody can wind up putting a bear photograph on your website or your back, and you're like, gee, how did that bear get there? You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's I'm not excited about what's presented because also I'm not comfortable with taking disparate keywords, putting them together, and then coming up with content, right? That really, if you read it, it does sound like gibberish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, this is an advancement, right?
Yeah.
You know, I
Well, yeah, it's interesting because if I do writing, I write myself because I
yeah,
have that marketing background and all that. So, and I enjoy it. It's actually one thing I'm good at. But it's even though I haven't seen it so much in my industry, it's been a topic of conversation amongst my friends lately because everyone is dealing with it in their different careers. And I keep hearing the same thing that, it's challenging because it will pull data that is not correct or has to be fact checked, and then you end up spending as much time or more going back and redoing it, or
what I
having to
find,
fact check.
yeah, what I find is that if you it's better the more content you have on your website. It's because
Mm,
the way the program is designed. Uh, but that said, the problem is a, the way the plugins for those who don't know what plugins are in WordPress parlance are simply pre-designed sets of code like a fist, if you will, and you're quite literally driving that fist into a section on your uh, in your functions area at times or other parts or your database of your WordPress site, such that it can do everything from, well, you name it, change out your fonts, set up your ad systems, or in this instance, allow GPT to post its messages in a pre-designated area you determine in the back end. The trouble is that because the way the code is designed right now, it is too vulnerable to what is called cross-site scripting. You got to be careful who you deal with. You slap this thing on there, you think, oh, I've got this thing and it works great, and you're tied in with what's called WooCommerce. You're selling stuff, right? And
yeah.
next thing you know, hey, I've got a picture of a bear, or hey, worse, it's not coming up at all because it's being so beaten down that your server has stopped because
Yeah,
it's
frustrating.
so those are the nightmares that you can deal with. But my question
Yeah.
to you, getting away from that, and you touched on something uh, that made me ask this question: what is your ideal client?
It's pretty broad because really, but I will say, I mean, anybody that has money to spend on promotional products, but I will say I specialize in small to medium sized companies because I find they have more discretion over their budgets. When you work with the huge corporations, that's nice. And, you can make a lot of money, but they usually beat you down on margins,
Hmm.
and you get into RFPs, you end up doing a lot of work and very often don't get the business. So I have found that small to medium are good because they still have control over how their money's spent, who they work with, what they value. It's just not driven by the bottom line. Other things come into play.
Do you find that? Oh, and now I'll go. I'll get to this question regarding Oakland because and how are we doing on time, by the way, for you?
Oh, I blocked out the rest of the afternoon. We can talk all day.
Cool. Uh, who is your favorite marketer? And the reason I ask is because there's a gentleman I never met in person, but I was always impressed with Donnie Deutsch. And he's managed to carve out a place for himself as a spokesperson. I just saw him on Deadline White House. He was on The Apprentice. I mean, this is not, when I think of Donald Trump, I think of marketer. I think, all the other stuff is, yeah, whatever. Well, it's not a whatever, but the whole point for the purpose of this conversation, I don't go there unless you do. But my point is that who is your favorite marketer? Who are people that you followed over the years that uh, either real or, um, imagine like Don Draper from Mad Men?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's so much a person as it is companies. And of course, when you ask me that, I'm going to come up blank off the top of my head. But really, when I look through industry publications and follow different people on social media and so forth, what I'm really looking at is people that are very brilliant. I love creativity and marketing campaigns. And then how are they using it, threading it through, weaving it through everything that they're doing. So on TV, in print, on the radio, internet, whatever, how are they tying that in with their branding? So when a company has a really fun concept or something really takes off, I appreciate it when they're able to take that and move that into a merchandising arena. And a lot of these bigger companies like Dunkin' Donuts. There was another one that just came up recently. Can't remember who it was, but it was a food item, and
The Grubhub?
no, it wasn't Grubhub, but it was like a food, like an actual particular product. But
Oh,
it was something that's just got a lot of play in the media. And so
I was
basically
going to ask, what do you think of the Grubhub and Snoop Dogg? They got that jingle, and it's like, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I like that. I was looking
yeah.
around for the song. I haven't had a chance to find it yet, if it
Yeah,
exists.
exactly. And when you see stuff like the way I always run it through my own filter is when I'm looking at things or reading things or even seeing things in the media myself, when it comes to the product, would I use it or would I wear it? Is it creative enough or interesting enough that I'm like, oh, and I've seen a lot, so it takes a lot to impress me at a certain point. But I think you got to give good quality or give or sell good quality merch. And sometimes I'll go on to websites. Someone will have a great concept or something that's caught on fire. Some things come and go. It's only lasts for about 5 minutes, but if you can capture the concept and then sell it, I mean, you could probably make a lot of money. And then I go on these websites, and they're just like plug-in type websites, which you're seeing in our industry also. There's a space for that where you can go on and order one shirt and you can put your own picture on it or whatever. But when you take that concept and move it over, it doesn't necessarily reflect the quality that you want to get out there. But to get quality, often you have to print or produce more than one piece at a time. So we're finding this in between space between what is a lot of digital printing these days, which allows you to do one thing, and higher quality processes that just produce a higher quality product.
I want to get your review on this because you talked about favorite campaigns. Here is my favorite all time. Right here, Coca-Cola. It's the real
Uh-huh.
thing. What one makes which one do you think of when you think of or the Coke one? What do you
I
think of that?
think it's great. I mean, Coke has such a long-standing brand, and they're keeping their advertising fresh. I think they know where to engage. And I haven't been on their website, but I'm sure they probably have a pretty outstanding Coca-Cola store. I mean, I was actually just in New York about a month ago, and I excuse me, I was down at New York, down on Times Square, and unfortunately ran out of time. But I'm a huge peanut butter, excuse me, and chocolate fan, and I do like me some Reese's peanut butter cups. It's one of my favorites. And so Reese's has gotten really smart because they have a Reese's peanut butter store in Times Square. Buy merch, and you can go and get all kinds of goodies that revolve around their candies and peanut butter and chocolate. So that's an example of taking a product and a brand, evolving it into a storefront, and then having merch to sell around it. And another one too, I was thinking when you were asking earlier, is Barbie. I don't know if you saw Barbie.
Probably haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah,
That's
it's great. I loved it. It was
like
great.
a doggone troglodyte. Oh my
Yeah,
god!
but I've been watching that the
Why
products
is
that
Barbie so popular? I'm not saying that out of anger. I just want to know what the blankety blank is going on. Okay.
yeah with
I
the
mean,
movie. Yeah,
yeah. What is?
I thought it was a very progressive version. It's very thought provoking. I actually need to see it one more time because there was so much content in there.
Hmm.
But I love that it was brought up to date in what was presented. But the merchandising opportunities based around that movie have just been through the roof. If you're paying attention, seeing anything
Yeah,
on
yeah,
social media.
yeah. Can't miss. Look at that. And the
Yeah.
colors get me. They're just
Yeah. Do they have what's on the up on the drop down menu? Do they have a merchandising store up there? I'm just
hold on a
curious.
second, let me get it.
I haven't looked, but
Right here, they have
go to the
playlists.
left. Go to the far left. See, there's a drop down probably. Yeah.
Oh, holy cow. Get tickets, girls' employment, watch parties, selfie generator, official playlist. Own it now. Okay, you can own it. That's the
Oh, the
digital.
movie, yeah. So, well, they've done a great job because they're mass market, of course. So they have tons of contracts, and I see Barbie stuff. Did their due diligence and made a ton of deals before the movie even came out.
They have videos, they have gallery. There's the gallery, poster gallery. They have a watch party, a selfie generator. So I can push this so I can make my own selfie of me. Ha! That's wild.
You and Barbie
Oh
can
my
decide
lord.
what kind of Barbie or Ken you are.
I can make a selfie of myself here. This is crazy. I love how smoothly the website works, right? Um,
Hmm.
Java is really jumping, but
Yeah.
it's you've got to do a watch party. You can there's a selfie generator. I don't know if that comes up in the it doesn't. So I quite literally have to shift over. No, it does. Yeah. You have to
Well,
actually
and it's interesting just talking about this is that, we can really take promotional merchandising and cross it over with social media and online marketing. Because, for example, if you have a really strong Instagram following, for example, or Facebook or wherever you're doing it, you can run a contest and say hashtag or um, tag me in a post. Or, in this case, maybe they would do something like take the Barbie selfie. And if you post the Barbie selfie and tag Barbie or copy whoever, then you're entered into a drawing to win, 100 exclusive Barbie duffel bags or, whatever. So there's a way to engage between social media and internet marketing and hardcore products that actually gets something into
yeah,
your
I was
client's hand or your audience hands. Yeah, more tangible.
I was actually trying to put the selfie part up here, but it's got some embedded URL that won't appear. Well, all I get is this part, right? Gallery.
Yeah.
But if I go back and I shift and I say stop screen and I try to share it, and then I get selfie generator. Let's see if that works. Ah, there we go. Okay, that was human error, folks. Uh,
Yeah.
this is cool.
I know. I was just trying to see if I have anything. I put something not that long ago.
I'm
On my
addicted, folks. Look at this. I have to press this button. I
Yeah, do it. Do it.
allowing the FaceTime. There's me. Isn't that a trip? This is a trip. Look at this, folks. Whoa. Okay, take my glasses. Now I'm taking my glasses on. That's my okay. Capture. All right. Well, let me try that again. That was not. Let me. It says retake photo. Yeah. Got it. Oh, I feel like such a madman. Let me try it
I
one more time.
know.
All right.
I was trying to see if I had something related to a recent campaign that would have kind of tie into what we're talking about. But regardless, I do put a
Wait, look at
product.
this. Chad, look at this. This is cool. I'm sorry. I'm
I
fan.
know.
This is a freaking trip. Look at this. Wait. Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
want
have to do it too, Zenny. I'm gonna do it too.
yeah. I gotta take a that is freaking
That is
cool.
awesome.
Wait, I gotta make it. I got this is wait, I'm not come on, iPhone, work. Um Now my iPhone doesn't want to shift the video because it knows what I'm going to do. All right, folks, I'm on with Shannon Pedder here, and I, uh, thanks to her direction, made a selfie of myself with Barbie here. See that? Okay, I can
Yeah,
read
now
this.
I've got competition.
Yeah, you got competition. This is cool. And then I press continue down here. Let's see what else happens. Uh, ooh, you got to be kidding me. Oh
Pretty
man,
impressive. I think I see a new profile picture coming your way.
I think you do. And there it is. It's done. It's saved. Holy. I mean, I just that is okay. Wait, I gotta, boy, you know, folks, I gotta see Barbie. That's massively cool. Straight up,
Yeah, definitely see Barbie.
wow. So that's why, or why is it? No, I don't know why. You tell me. Why is it that it cleared 1 billion?
Say that again.
Why did Barbie clear 1 billion? The only take I have on my question, only answer I can offer is I remember I'm here caregiving for my mom, although I've been so sickly, you think it was the other way around. But bless you. But a friend who works out at the gym is in her 20s, college athlete, and we were talking about movies. And she said, I'm really excited to see Barbie. And my first
Mhm.
thought was, demographic. That's it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that did they hit?
I think it's two things. I think demographic, I think my age group, being 50, a little bit older and some younger, we grew up with Barbie, so this is huge to us. And then I think and I'm drawing a blank on the woman who produced it and
Greta,
wrote it. Um
Greta Gerwig?
yes, Greg Gerwig, thank you.
Yeah.
She did a magnificent job of modernizing Barbie and bringing her into 21st century. And like I said, there's a lot of thought provoking, in my opinion, comments and
Like for
questions.
instance, this is good. For instance,
I just think on the role of women, and how we're perceived and what rights we have in the society and how there's gender discrimination still, at the end of the day. So, and I think it's like I said, you have to probably see it a couple of times to really catch a lot of the nuances. There's a lot packed in there, and I haven't seen it my second time. But I will say there's a lot of people that had a very instant reaction, yet a yuck reaction to it because they thought or what they knew of Barbie before was something that was, this little plastic doll that, was super skinny and all the things that we know, blonde hair and has certain, I don't know, I guess, reputation.
yeah.
But I felt like that is not even relevant anymore because Greta did bring it up, to 2023, and she did a magnificent job. And then I have talked to some of my parents' generation, and everybody in that generation hated it. So that was
Like
interesting.
my mom.
Yeah, so that was interesting to me because I think they miss a generation of playing with Barbie, and then they miss a lot of the nuances and the reality of experience in this day and age for younger women. Every generation has got their thing, but it varies, right?
For me, born August 4th, 1962, it was part of my pop culture stew. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
to me, Barbie. I remember when Barbie first came out. Barbie looked like, well, Margot Robbie's Barbie, right? And then there was a black Barbie, and there were different Barbies. There were Barbies doing different things, and to me, Barbie became like, okay, it's almost like Wonder Woman. Which
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman are you going to choose to portray? Because Wonder Woman is such an old, if you will, character and has so many different phases. You can choose the World War II Wonder Woman, or and so on. But it sounds like to me, Ms. Gerwig's done a great job of fusing all of those different Barbies into one with the main character, and then having all the. Am I wrong? I haven't seen it, so I'm still.
Yeah, I that's a great summation. And I would add that she added a lot of we laughed our butts off because Barbie has those, really her feet are like this so that she can fit into a really high heels.
Yeah.
And Margot Robbie, she walked around with her feet in that position. And it's just comical. I mean, because when you think of it that way, it's a reflection of the standard that women are expected to be held to, and it's not
Mhm.
realistic. So you have to be able to look through that lens. At least that's how I saw it, and that's how I appreciated it. I thought it was great.
My mom alluded to that about a period. We were watching Turner Classic Movies, and now I'm connecting the two. You're absolutely right, because it's having high heels connotes certain things to man, or did, and it's interesting how society has changed from that. But it's also interesting how, in some specific cases I won't name, it has still stayed. And so,
Hmm.
but in the case of Barbie, it's amazing. It's a, a compliment to Mattel that Mattel has been able to keep Barbie relevant all these years. And now, arguably, Mattel has cemented Barbie's relevance for arguably the next 50 years.
Oh, I agree. They blew it out of the water.
Wow, something else. I mean, it doesn't make
Yeah.
does that make you jealous when you look at that as a marketer, or?
Yeah. No, I mean, I love to look at just for inspiration purposes. Like I have industry publications I receive, and I always read through them because I like to see what the biggest companies are doing, and then in smaller case histories too. But I learn from that. I look at the products that they're employing because we always pay attention to retail. We trend, just shortly after retail. So if something's hot in retail, you're most likely going to see it in our industry shortly thereafter. We do work with retail brands, which sometimes comes with some requirements, but and some are in our industry and some aren't. So if somebody wants, say, an Adidas shirt with their logo on it, we can do it. Other companies are not, or they're just too strict and stringent. But people recognize brand names, so that there's value all of different pieces at all times, just to stay relevant, present clients with things that are interesting and also are current and hot in retail, because that tells us a lot.
I'm also thinking too, and it reminds me of, I remember Olivetto's in Rockridge,
Hmm.
started by my friend Bob Klein. I met back in 1988, thanks to another mutual friend of ours, Ken Hammock. But Bob was also working with an organization called the Global Business Network and doing scenario planning. But Bob had created this term called the global teenager. And the idea was that it didn't matter where you went in the world, and this is really a marketing, focus, and it was actually done for corporations which are clients of GBN, that the teenagers all wanted the same thing. And so when I think of the popularity of Barbie, I think that, wow, maybe they're they focused on the global teenager and managed to just hit that. Is that the right way to look at things?
I think that might be. I mean, I haven't really talked to any younger women to personally hear their opinions of Barbie, but I think it was super relevant. And I think that, I mean, not to get too political, but I think a lot of rights are have been taken away from women or are on the table to be taken away. And I think that's waking people up. And our
Yep.
younger generation needs to be paying attention and voting and all the things. But so people might think, oh, Barbie, and have certain assumptions, but there was a lot of things in there to fire up a new generation of women and understand that women are too, and it's important that we do stay together because we're smart, we're accomplished, we have a lot to offer, and we need to be recognized for that.
Do you find that in the case of, and I'm dying to ask this question now that it's popped into my head, in the I'll call it the post George Floyd world, I see commercials that are heavily integrated in a
Mhm.
way I've never seen before. And do you find that because of the killing of George Floyd, presented to us the way that it was, we've had this seismic shift in the expectations of representation in images?
100%. I think so. But whether or not everybody's gotten the memo, that's another question. I mean, I pay attention to it. I was looking at one of my factory websites, and everybody in the pictures was white. And I noticed it. I thought to myself, okay, they didn't know.
The
And then I
message.
know other companies that are very aware and being conscientious and thoughtful about those shifts, which we need to be. But I thought, and we work with factories all over the United States. So there might be a factory that's smaller in an area that could be predominantly white, and their resources in terms of how they set things up and do things may be a little bit more limited, and they don't have somebody saying that, hey, everybody in all these photographs representing your products are white. Like they probably, it's just not on their radar. But a lot of the big corporations and factories in our industry, they're thinking about it. And I look at it, myself too, in terms of what I'm putting up, but I don't create the images for the most. My product images are created by the manufacturers. So I
Hmm.
don't always have a lot of say in it, but I do pay attention and I think it's important.
Do you have clients that are, for example, gay or lesbian, that also have concerns about a particular focus? How does that work, for want of a better term, a way of expressing it?
They don't talk to me or ask specifically in terms of how it's communicated or represented. But more and more over the last few years, we're doing a lot of Pride items.
Hmm,
So in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Pride is in June. And then in Oakland, I believe it's in October.
right.
So more and more, we're doing products really appeal to and celebrate LGBTQ peeps as well. So it's definitely, I on my Facebook page, what I finally started doing a few years ago is under albums, I started naming those albums by theme or product. So you can go on there and look for LGBTQT or Pride, and you'll find an album, and there'll be a ton of items just for that category. There's a bag category, a mug category. There's holiday categories. So that way people can go and kind of peruse through and get ideas. But I have had a lot of categories in 27 years. And when I have a new category, I'm like, oh, this is good. But Pride was one I added maybe 4 years ago.
You said it was on your Facebook. I was actually going to get it.
So it's facebook.com / brand creative swag, which is the same handle for Instagram.
Okay, facebook.com. I hate when it does that. It's actually forgotten all of my automatic prompts to log in. / brand creative.
Swag. SWAG. Brand creative swag.
Creative SWAG. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. Here we go. I'll put this up here because it's asking me to log in all this. I'm thinking, why do I have to log in? It's you already have my information. To remove that. Yeah. Stop screen.
So I put product idea up Monday through Friday, once a day, and then I post a newsletter twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
And if not so much on Instagram because of the photo requirements, but if there's interesting articles or stuff going on with what other companies are doing, I'll post that too. So it's a good resource of information.
Yeah, let me see if I can log out. Well, depresent this and then log in again to get it better. Wow, that's cool. So are you using Facebook more often for your web presence as opposed to standard website, or is that just
Well, I would say it's probably even. I really try to promote Facebook because I control that, meaning that I'm able to create the content, which I like. And then same thing with Instagram. Like I said, Monday through Friday, a product a day. Where am I on the screen?
Yeah.
So there we go.
Huh.
Anyway, so that's just fun. You can kind of rifle through that and see, what's happening and what's cool and get different product ideas. And I think there's so many things that are available in my industry and that we cover that people can't even imagine what they all are. So that's why I like just really quick pictures, and you'll be like, oh, we do Apple AirTag holders or, sweatshirts and some of the name brands that we're carrying right now.
And in our closing area now, our closing hour as we come to close, now we can talk about Oakland. How is Oakland changing from your perspective?
That's a challenging question. I will say from a business perspective, I still have a ton of really strong Oakland customers, which is great. It's largely the basis of my work because I am born and raised in Oakland. I live here still. I work here. I work from home now. I no longer have an office because I don't really need one.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, it's been fine. I think it's been important to just stay in touch. Keep my finger on the pulse of my peeps and what's going on and watching, who's in business. And, coming out of COVID, a lot of people, their budgets dipped way down in terms of marketing, but little by little have come back. So, if someone went off the radar for a while, it's, eventually come back if they didn't go out of business. So that's been really nice to see.
Shannon, also, are you using YouTube? And if so, what's your experience with YouTube? You're talking to Oakland's first YouTube partner channel starter. So
that's awesome. I know. Cindy, you're amazing with all the things you do. I'm
not rich. It's like,
I know. I really don't use YouTube for this business. I feel like I have enough on my plate running my own business, and I have my social media set up in the way that I feel works for me. And I just don't have the capacity to do more. And I know some people do videos and stuff, but I find that clients like you to leverage their time. So you kind of got to get in and get out at the first, at the beginning. And where they find the most benefit for me is just giving them good quality content upon request.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something too about age, and I want to give you a little bit of a, not a pushback, but a different perspective, because I find, being one who codes their own sites, that a lot of young people don't know what clients think they know.
Yeah.
For social media, think, "Oh, I'll just get, seriously, a young girl." And they don't understand the relationship between social media and search engine optimization. They don't understand search engine optimization. They don't understand why you can't use a PDF in place of an HTML platform. I
Yeah.
can go on and on and on. But what do we do to let them know that, hey, this ageism actually hurting them? It's,
Yeah.
act-
Well,
it's
it's
hurting
an
you
interesting.
guys. Stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff. It's interesting that you bring this up because I thought that with the advent of the internet and the direction it was going, I thought that would take over our business, and it didn't. And I thought eventually I would probably be aged out of this business, but the opposite has happened in both cases because this goes back to customer service. You can't get customer service. AI is changing that a little bit, but you still can't get the same level of customer service from the computer, because especially if something goes wrong, you need to call somebody like me and say, what the heck, right? Or help, desperate. But in terms of age, I am in the middle of the sandwich, right? So all the boomers are starting to retire, and those are people that are career-based people. They've been in this industry if they've stuck around for 40 or 50 years. And then
Wow.
there's someone like me, which is, I'd say we're probably, I've seen the numbers because our industry institute comes out with these numbers annually. We're probably a little smaller in numbers in some ways. But then when you get down to the generation or two below me, millennials and beyond, our industry is really struggling to attract and keep people to stay in this industry and be invested in it, because
Why is that?
there's just the fact that the younger folks don't stay. There's that. And to be in this industry and really invest in it, it makes sense to have it be a lifelong career, because really it's about relationships.
Hmm.
So some people I think are made they blow in, blow out, and they can sell anything. I'm not a salesperson in that regard. I sell because I love what I do, is what it comes down to. But you're right. They don't have the knowledge. Like, I go back to looking up products in a book that was like as thick as the Bible. And now they just punch it in. But there's so much institutional knowledge that I have become very valuable at the midpoint, which I didn't anticipate. I'm grateful for, but I didn't anticipate it. And because I've made the commitment to stay in the business and keep up, I'm even more valuable than I thought I would have been.
Well, I want to add too, what we do at Zen Institute Media, our core is really reputation management. And I find that a lot of people don't understand the importance. I always tell them, when you write something online, you're writing a computer program to activate a computer program. That computer program is a search engine, and someone else is doing it to you as well. And now we have automatic systems. People don't get how important it is. And yet I have we have a fixed fee. So if a person has a reputation problem, it's generally 5,000 a month, and that's actually at the low end. There are people who charge 12,000 a month, but then you have other organizations I'm not going to mention will say, "Well, okay, I'll charge you 250," but what happens is that they get you for the next 3 years, and they just keep running your credit card. That's not
Yeah.
us. And so then
Yeah.
on top of that, Shannon, the job isn't even done. You know,
Yeah.
and so these are serious issues. There's one person I know of who's actually a local, who has been written up 3 times in SF Gate in a negative way, where it looks like SF Gate was actually paid to go after them and through Hearst Media Services. And so, what do we do about better educating people about what's going on online regarding what it is their marketing, in a sense, right?
Hmm.
And how to fix it, just even having a sense of how they should be marketed.
It's interesting because I almost think it goes down to basics or back to basics, which is you have to be smart enough to stop and think things through. And I think you need to be ethical and honest. That's what I was thinking when you were talking, is that I think that's another reason that you're still relevant and valuable, and I am too. I'm very I'm a very honest and upfront person with my clients. And if I can't do what they need me to do, or I can't give them what they need, I will tell them. And sometimes you have to part ways, but I feel like I have cultivated my reputation and my honesty and my style of communication at a high level to be of value. So I just feel when things are like that are happening, I don't know the backstory or what's going on, but people aren't slowing down enough to be thoughtful and take the time to think things through and say, hey, is a fast move better than a slow down move? And which, sometimes you got to do things a little differently, or, or absorb some things, but it's going to be better for you in the long haul. Be honest, be upfront, deal with it,
Definitely.
And then fix your reputation. But I think so much of it is what's your baseline? Where are you starting from? So if someone's in that much trouble, that's not a good thing.
And they are. Hey, Shannon, tell them how to contact you.
So you can find me online. My website is www.brandcreative.biz, which is BIZ. You can find me at facebook.com/brand creative swag. My Instagram handle is and my LinkedIn is brand creative
as well. So, folks, if everybody goes just to that one URL, you can probably find out the other ones, right?
Yes, you sure can.
So I was thinking, I'm going to try to stop it. Oh my God.
I know. Yeah. No, I got all the links. Up there.
You got to come back and we can talk some more.
Absolutely. It's been delightful.
Yeah. Stay in the background. You don't have to move a muscle. Everybody, we'll be back a little bit later. Jameis Winston is going to be traded to the Minnesota Vikings. In fact, that process has already started. He'll finally get the right home. Stay tuned for our NFL news. Shannon, check out NFL news sometime.
I will.
All right. And our Oakland news, you know all about that.
Okay. I'm abreast of that for sure.
That ends this stream. Shannon, stay in the background. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.